Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Podcast channel. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we talk to Jill and Kristin about the Rebelle Rally. Conrad's got the In Wheel Time Car Clinic, and we'll have this week's auto news all about the big strike with the UAW, mainly up north. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. Going to be hot here in Houston today.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's just as hot on this car talk show because we have joining us right now Jill Ciminillo and Kristin Shaw, Rebelle Rally participants. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing great. Thank you so much for joining us today. So before we get started here, let's talk about the Rebelle Rally and explain to everybody what it really is.
Yeah, a lot of people will call it a race, but it's not really a race. It's more of a navigational challenge. So essentially, you start in one location. This year, we're starting in Mammoth, California, and you end in one location, which is usually the Glamis Dunes down near the Mexican border. So we cover about 1,200 to 1,500 miles of driving over 8 days. And they take away your phone, they take away your GPS in your vehicle. You're not allowed to ask for outside help. And you have a map, a compass, a plotter, and longitude and latitude points to get you from point A to point B.
Is this all female?
It is. It is all female competition. Some of the support staff are men, but all of the competitors are women.
How many competitors are there?
Well, I know last year there were about 50 teams. I feel like this year there might be more, maybe like 55 teams. I'm not exactly sure how many teams.
Teams of two?
Teams of two.
Yeah. And what kind of cars? I mean, do you drive press cars or your own car? How does that work?
It's usually your own car. Chris and I are sponsored by Hyundai, so they've given us a Hyundai Santa Cruz to drive. And we've modified it, adding a lift. We've added some rally lights. We've added skid plates, things like that make it a little bit more off-road worthy. But most of the competitors out there are self-funded, which means that they are, doing their own entry fees, and they are paying their own way.
Got to buy your own gas.
Are there any?
Buy your own gas. It's like $30,000 to compete in the event because the registration fee itself is $15,000, and then you've got all the travel, the hotels, the training, the supplies.
Are there any EVs in this?
Yes.
How do they charge on the way?
I was going to say, how does that work? Do you pull a trailer with a diesel generator on the back of it?
No. Well, maybe actually. What they do is they have some sponsors that will bring essentially a charging truck. And so similar to bringing a fuel truck, which there's a fuel truck at base camp every night, the EVs will go and charge and the gasoline vehicles will go and fuel up. And then there are sometimes when we do long transfers, so we'll go 500 miles in a day, and there are specific gas stations or charging stations that we are allowed to stop at.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but does everybody leave at the same time?
Yes and no. You leave around the same time, but not at exactly the same time. So sometimes you draw a number out of a hat and it'll tell you the order in which you leave. They usually send people out in about 10-minute increments.
Yep.
So that not everybody is going to the same place at the same time. Then oftentimes though, your wave or your departure time is determined by how well you did the previous day. So if you end up leaving late, that is not a good thing.
Kristin, how did you get suckered into this?
It's Jill's fault.
Everything is always my fault. It's fine.
Yeah, I got it. No, I totally understand. No, seriously, how do you two know each other?
We've known each other for several years as automotive journalists, and I really liked her as soon as I met her. And when she asked me if I wanted to do this with her, I said yes. I'd been thinking about it because I covered it as media in 2021, And I thought, wow, this is crazy. This is epic. I don't know if I can do this. So when Jill asked me, I thought it was worth a try. And we had a great experience.
Do you all swap duties? One drives some segment and the other one does the navigation?
The other one reads the map?
We did that last year. We swapped back and forth. Each person had a day. And this year, I'm going to be the driver and Jill's going to be the navigator. She wanted to take on that challenge.
Well,
so is all the navigation done with paper maps? Because I know you can't use any electronic help.
That's correct. We seal up our phones with like crime scene tape. So we can't use them. And they give us paper maps, just like the one that's behind me here in the video. And they give us latitude and longitude points, and we have to plot those out. And they may also give us a bearing where we use our compass.
So it's tempting to use the nav in the vehicle.
That's disabled. Can't do that.
They take it out.
Oh, yeah.
So Jill understands how to operate the origami of opening and closing that Texaco map I used to get back in the 60s, right?
Exactly.
We hope so. I don't want to break it or rip it or lose it. That would be the goal.
Do they issue maps or you just have to go find your own map?
They issue the maps. And so on the prologue day, essentially what they do is they have like a 1 or a 2 hour, they call it a training session. But during that time, they kind of give you the notes for the rally in general. And then they will give you all of your maps. So if there's 12 maps for the rally, you get all 12 maps. And so typically what people do is you get your maps, you fold them neatly, and then you number them. And then they have like little organizers. Last year we did not have an organizer. So this year we have an organizer, but they have organizers that you put them in so that when you need the map, you know where it is and you can pull it out, and it's more difficult to lose it that way. But every day when you get your longitude and latitude points, it'll say on your checkpoint sheet which maps you will be using for the day.
Sort of like a trapper keeper.
Yep, exactly. Trapper keeper without punching the holes in it, because that would take up a lot of square foot.
So how do you become a winner on this? I mean, it's timed and making sure that you hit all of your check. How does that all work?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's designed for people. It's designed for people to win that have had the experience. So it would be highly unlikely for a rookie to win because there's so much that you have to know, and collecting all these checkpoints each day. Like they have green, blue, and black. Green might be worth 20 points. Blues might be worth a little bit less, and the blacks might be worth a little bit less than that. The black ones are unmarked, so we get this little digital tracker device. The green ones have a big flag. Those are easy to see. The blue might have a flag. It might have a little pole in the ground. And the black ones, we click the checkpoint thing.
When you think you're there.
We think it's here.
Yeah, I got you.
How often do you get lost?
Every day.
No comment.
No, I will totally comment every day. At least when I'm navigating, we get lost every day. But here's the thing. It's like you're lost, but you're never truly lost, because you have a vague idea of where you're going to be, like where you are. And you do always have that tracker, so you can click it and get your longitude, latitude points, and then plot it on the map. And you can be like, oh, I thought it was over here, but nope, it's actually way over here. And then you can like kind of reroute plan depending on where you actually are versus where you need to be. Now, the one problem that we ran into a couple of times last year, so we're driving a Hyundai Santa Cruz, which, probably only has 9 or 10 inches of ground clearance. So it's not a lot. And I would look out into the distance and I would see like a telephone pole or a power line. I'd be like, that is where we need to be. And then we just couldn't get there.
Now, how do you get there, right?
Yeah, because it's not a straight line. It's never a straight line. And okay, I have to go 46 degrees and I need to go 1.2 kilometers for 46 degrees. But again, it's not one straight 1.2 kilometers. And in the middle of all of this, there could be sand dunes, there could be rocks, there could be a mountain, there could be like any number of things in that direction that you have to get around or get over to get to that telephone pole or power line.
The landmark, yeah.
There was one day specifically where I was like, the power line is right there. I see it. And we literally like went back and forth for 2 hours, and I just couldn't find a way to get there. And, one of the beautiful things about Rebelle is it's a lot of women helping women. And we finally ran across another couple teams. One was in a Ram 1500 and the other was in a Jeep Wrangler. And I was like, that's where we're trying to go. And we just can't figure out how to get there. And the Ram was like, we'll go first. You follow us. And then the Jeep will follow you. And then that way, if you get stuck, if you have a problem, you've got two of us to pull you out of it. And I was like, okay. I can manage that. And we managed to get out of it to get where we need to be.
So this is not just strictly an on-road kind of course thing it's off-road as well.
Oh, it's pretty much 90% off-road.
90% off-road.
Now, when you say starting in Mammoth, California, is that up there near Yosemite Park?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we have a location for the hotel that we will be staying at. And it won't be until we get to the hotel that they tell us where our first base camp is.
Oh. So do you have to take your own camping gear?
We do. We have a 6-person tent. There's a really funny video of Jill practicing the first time how to put it up and take it down, because it's one of those that you have to twist and fold, and she basically pounced on it to fold it back the first time. But now we've got it figured out. We've got our sleeping bag, pillows, everything we need to be self-sufficient.
Well, if she can do the map, she can do the tent, right?
Yeah. Fold it.
Well, no, that's my job as the driver now. I've got to put the tent away every day while she's plotting the map.
Just drag it behind you.
Yeah, tie it to the
Throw
top.
it on the top.
Now,
Fine.
does everybody have their own method of camping? I mean, you don't have one standard size tent that everybody has, huh?
No, some people like the 1-person tent so that each person has their own little
Space.
cave.
Yep.
Yeah, for us, it's just easier to share a tent and put everything together. But everybody's got different kinds of tents and different methods, the way they camp. But we all end up in the same place camping together. We're not camping like out in the middle of nowhere by ourselves.
Gotcha. Now, what do you do for bathroom breaks and food?
Well, bathroom breaks, you go where you are because there's no bathrooms out in the middle of the desert. So we have this invention called the privacy sheet. It's just a big king-size fitted sheet that hangs between our two doors, and that makes a little cove for us.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit different for girls than it is for guys, because all we need is a tree. We don't even need a tree. It doesn't make any difference.
You don't even need to stop.
So what do you do? What do you do for food? I mean, you pack your own food, or you stop at the 7-Eleven on the corner?
Everything tastes good when it sits on the Ritz.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no 7-Eleven anywhere, sadly, but they feed us breakfast as we're getting ready for the day, as we're plotting our points. And then we bring our own lunch, might be snacks. There's not a whole lot of time to sit and eat lunch, so it might be apple and a handful of corn nuts as you drive.
Yeah,
lots of water.
finger food that you can eat and drive if you need.
And then I assume that when you get to the stopping point that night, that there's going to be food there for you.
Exactly. They actually have a Michelin chef hired. It's not fancy food, but it's good food.
Food and liquor.
It's better than a Goodyear chef, right?
Yeah. Food and liquor.
And
There
liquor.
you go, yeah.
So do you have a little nip every once in a while
libations?
at the end of the evening?
No, never.
Never.
No, I
I
mean,
have to get up at 5.
some people do. Some people do, but we did not. Our treat, we had a refrigerator last year in our truck, so our treat was like a cold sparkling water or cold coconut water at the end of the day.
God.
But
Those are good with vodka.
That's what I'm thinking. Tito's, here I come.
I will say that one of the competitors brought us little bottles of Fireball at the beginning last year.
Oh,
I carried them with me the entire time, and there were a couple of days where I was like, damn it, I need the Fireball.
Break out the Fireball.
just that little
but
hit
you
of
do it.
cinnamon, right?
Yes.
So they give you longitude and latitude points that you have to hit to earn your green, blue, black flag, correct? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
that's how you accumulate points. Now, is there also a time to distance component of that, or is it just about accumulating points by hitting those longe lat
Those marks.
markers?
There is a time, speed, distance segment called an enduro on every day. And that is, it'll say for 1.8 kilometers, you're going to go 25 kilometers per hour. Everything's in kilometers, by the way. So we've been wrapping our head around that for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Where did you place last year?
We were probably in the bottom third overall.
Rookies.
Like I said.
But you finished.
Yeah.
We finished.
Yeah.
That absolutely finished, and we did about as well as most rookies do.
See, they'd say we
Better than
finished,
most
but
rookies.
ours would be 6 months later. That's what we would do.
Now, do you guys have any experience in off-roading or racing or any kind of competitive things to do with an automobile?
I do not. I mean, other than, so as an automotive journalist, you attend a lot of like driving programs, Land Rover or Ford or whatever. They will, a Jeep, they'll have, let's test the new Jeep Wrangler, and we'll go out to Moab to do that. And so a lot of experience driving in controlled environments with instructors and spotters and things like that in vehicles that are incredibly capable. But I've never competed on a racetrack or in an off-road environment. So this is a completely new thing where I have to look at the situation and be like, all right, I think we can make it through that. I think it'll be fine.
Are you growing doing this? Are you growing in any aspirations to do Dakar?
I'm not yet.
Because I think that's even crazier than what you're doing now.
Do you have family members that follow you during this event, or they like go to different stages, or they meet you places?
They're not allowed to, because if you talk to anyone outside of your competitors while you're on the road, it could be considered cheating. They could give you information.
Can't
Nobody on the
stop and ask directions.
Nobody on the side of the road holding up a sign or something.
Nope.
Go,
nope,
team, go.
nothing.
Very
There is a tracker, so they can follow you online and see where you are. Like the day that we were stuck in that wash and going back and forth, our engineer for Hyundai was following us, and he was like, yeah, there was this one day. He's like, I just couldn't figure out what you were trying to do. And I was like, yeah, that would be us in the middle of a wash.
Neither could we, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you guys broadcasting this stuff on for your followers or anything?
There is a live show that the Rebelle does every day. They have people that host a show, and they interview different competitors, and they show where we are, and they have drone footage and everything. The photography and video quality is unbelievable.
Kind of like our show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't laugh too hard, Jill.
But you guys, are you guys considered influencers or just journalists, or both? Journalists, okay. And all of your competitors are journalists as well?
No. Very
No.
few. There's maybe one other set of, there's maybe two or three other journalists, I think.
And who are these other people? Do you even know?
Yeah, we know
one
Mia
of them.
and Mara are from Hearst Corporation, so they're with the Road and Track, and one's from Cosmopolitan. And then Mercedes Lilienthal is a freelance writer.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we know the Lillian.
Friend of the show, absolutely.
Yeah. But outside of the journalists, do you know any of the other people, and where are they from?
Oh, yes. Well, we know the ones that we've met through training and through last year. So repeat competitors will know them. And we've got a group on Facebook where everybody kind of keeps touch and talks about different things they're working on or different tips. So
Gotcha.
Are there any international players in this game? I mean, does anybody come in from Europe or someplace?
Somebody came in from Canada, and that was as international as it got last year. There isn't any reason why they couldn't come in internationally. And there are women's competitions overseas, but I don't. Last year, I think Canada was as far as the international was.
And you said start to finish, you'll put on 1,500 miles. Is that correct?
1,200 to 1,500. Yeah. We don't know. It varies.
And how many days will that
Is it
take?
8 days, 8 or 12?
8.
8 days.
So
there's
Jill, you're in Chicago, and Kristin, where are you?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, you're Austin. Okay,
All right, right
very
around the
good.
corner.
And let's see, Kristin, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, but you also have written for Popular Science, Edmunds, Motor One, Forbes, Road and Track. So you're well versed as well.
Love my job. Love my life.
No doubt. Well, listen, ladies, it's a pleasure to talk to you. We wish you the best of luck. Will you please keep us posted on your actual run in the Rebelle Rally this year?
We will.
Absolutely. And, if anybody is curious, they can follow us on Instagram at Team Brute Squad. And we will have a social media manager who will be posting things during the event of us and of the event itself. So, you can track us via the rebellerally.com website. They tell you how to do that. But our Instagram, Team Brute Squad, or we use the hashtag We Are the Brute Squad because that's our team name.
Well, Jill and Kristin, it is great to talk to you guys, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll be following.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck, to say the least. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Just shoot us an email. The address here is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. What are we talking about today?
Well, one of the other fluids in a vehicle is diesel exhaust fluid, and it's not to lubricate your muffler.
Oh.
Diesel exhaust fluid is been around since about 2014, and what it's designed to do is reduce the amount of nitrates of oxygen in the exhaust of a diesel engine. So this is actually a fluid that's sprayed into the exhaust system to act as a catalyst to knock the nitrates of oxygen down, which is a poisonous exhaust emission. So that's what they're trying to do with it. And it's basically, DEF fluid is about 67% deionized water, which is more of a pure water, and about 32.
What you would put in your iron.
Like a distilled water. But
DEF is an acronym of
diesel exhaust fluid.
There you go. Okay. I missed that.
And then 32% is urea. And that is the urea is the catalyst. And that mixture has to be pretty good.
Does that have anything to do with urine?
I don't know. I've never tried, Don. But
Well, no, I don't know. I'm asking sincerely. What is it, urea?
it's a liquid that's 32% of DEF fluid. There you go.
So scientific.
Good to know.
Urea.
You could use regular water, but the problem with using tap water, like washing a black car, what happens if you don't dry off?
Spots.
So all of that mineral in there is going to cause problems inside your DEF fluid.
Okay, I got you.
So that's why they have to use a distilled or what they call deionized water, because they don't want that
corrosive.
That it's not corrosive, but it'll cause
Clogs
it
it up,
yeah,
like a plaque.
It'll turn crystal on the injector sprayer, and then all the injector sprayers.
Well, I understand that that DEF fluid's expensive.
It's not outrageously expensive, but it does have a shelf life. And
Really?
And in Texas, the shelf life is short because
The heat.
Yeah, because of the ambient temperature. So, and they tell, and I know this at the dealerships, they tell the dealerships you want to store your DEF fluid in an air-conditioned area, and you want it up off the concrete floor because the concrete floor is going to change temperature greater. So you want a little airflow around it because the DEF fluid's half-life, the life of the fluid's cut in half every 30 days above 90 degrees. And I'm thinking, let's see, I've got a truck and it's got a 4.5 gallon DEF tank on it, and the DEF tank is made of that black plastic.
Yeah.
And my truck sits outside in the heat in Texas, and it's 105 degrees. How quickly does that diesel exhaust fluid deteriorate just sitting in your truck waiting to use?
Well, back in the day, my dad would have distilled water for filling the battery.
Right.
And because of the corrosive.
Same
chemical
reason,
reaction,
because
yeah.
because you don't want to introduce those minerals into a battery that's going to affect the performance of the battery. Same thing with the DEF fluid. That crystallization becomes quite an issue because and it can be quite expensive to replace your diesel exhaust fluid. Now, if you drive a diesel, you know what I'm talking about when you open up the gas cap and there's the green cap, that's where the diesel fluid goes, and then there's the blue cap, and that's where the DEF fluid goes. My issue is they shouldn't be next to each other. They should be in two separate parts of the vehicle because every now and then somebody will put DEF in their diesel or diesel in their DEF, and it's not like mixing chocolate in your peanut butter and peanut butter with your chocolate, which is good. DEF fluid and diesel fluid will destroy an injection system, and diesel fluid in the DEF tank will destroy the DEF injection system, and that can be, $5,000-$6,000 on the DEF side of things. It can be $10,000-$12,000 on the diesel side.
And if it
I'm
doesn't,
thinking Def Leppard when I hear it.
I'm
Def
thinking
Leppard.
I was thinking Def Jam. You get things.
okay, are you done yet?
So again,
No.
if you're buying DEF fluid, you want to buy fresh and you want to buy often.
I wonder how
The
many of
longer it
our
sits around.
listeners, viewers, actually have diesel engines that use DEF fluid.
If they've got one that was built after 2014, pretty much all of them have
That's
DEF
what I was
fluid on
thinking.
them,
Yeah.
Chrysler was the one who came to DEF fluid last. Don't know why, but the Cummins didn't start with diesel exhaust fluid as early as the GMs and the Fords did.
Design,
But it's
research
all,
and development.
yeah,
all that.
but it's also the diesel exhaust fluid is not just in what I'll call the automotive diesel, the Duramax, the Power Stroke, and the Cummins. It's also in the off-road stuff. So you actually see DEF fluid that has to be used on Caterpillars and Volvo.
If they were built after
big
2014.
If they were built after 2014. So
Do you
I'll be
know?
darned.
Hey, well, look at my new Caterpillar with the tracks on it. It was built in 2013, so I don't have to worry about it. But my buddy over here, he bought himself a new one, and he's got one in 2020, and it's running just fine. And that DEF fluid, it costs a lot of money after a while.
Well, over time, it does cost money. It's not cheap. It's not nearly as expensive as fuel is, and fuel is such a volatile price.
Diesel fuel,
right
yeah.
now.
Diesel.
Hey, quick break now, and we'll be back after these messages. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Lupi Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Lupi Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Lupi Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Lupi Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Lupi's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Lupi Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Lupi Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Lupi Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora,